Good evening, friends. It's Miss Connie from the Farmville Public Library, and tonight I have a story to share with you. It's by William Steig. It's called Wizzil. The pictures are by Quentin Blakes, and a lot of his illustrations are found in Great Britain, but he's also done a few for our country as well. Wizzil is a story about a witch, and this book is published by Macmillan, and we are very grateful to them to allow us to read this book to you. Wizzil the witch was busy biting her nails. "Beatrice," she said, "I'm bored stiff." "Well, you've been purged on your behind for so long, you're stinking up the place," said the parrot. "Now go make somebody suffer." "But who?" said Wizzil. "And where?" "Frimp farm," yapped Beatrice. "It's a Frimp family, all right. There's DeWitt Frimp, there's Fred Frimp, and Fred's wife, Florence Frimp." Wizzil took her parrot's advice, turned herself into a common housefly, and zizzed on over to Frimp Farm to check it out, incognito. Snoozing and snoring with a flyswatter in his hand was DeWitt Frimp. He detested every breed of fly, especially Musca domestica. And since he wasn't up to milking cows anymore, he had plenty of time for swatting. Wizzil lit on his bald pate, and acting like a genuine fly, she sallied down his nose, crossed his cheek, and tickled his ear with her tiny feet. DeWitt sprang up, swishing his swatter wherever he could swish it, 3 times missing the witch by only a hair. Resolved on revenge, Wizzil zoomed out the window, determined to cook up a really nasty plan. "Wizzil," she said to herself, "that bald-headed fuddy-duddy with his crazy swatter darn near did me in. He'll be getting his all right, double quick." Once she got home, Wizzil hurled her body onto the bed and stared at the ceiling as if she dared to try staring back. Suddenly, she got up and began pacing the floor in her snakeskin slippers. "Beatrice," said the witch, "listen, that old fogey keeps his fly swatter in his left hand, so he's a lefty. I'm going to turn myself into a left-handed glove and make sure he wears me constantly. Then I'll give him the works." "That's the way, Wizzil," Beatrice squawked. "Make him sizzle." Before sunrise the next day, Wizzil was down near the Frimp mailbox, skulking in the bushes. When the sun showed up, so did DeWitt, fly swatter in his left hand and letter in his right. Presto! What had been a witch became a glove. There's our glove. After posting his letter, Wizzil spotted it. "Frimp, my man, it's your lucky day," he exclaimed, and he traipsed back home with a happy harpy on his hand. DeWitt took to wearing his new glove all the time, except for when he washed or shaved or had to wind the clock or pick his nose. He wore to breakfast, lunch, and dinner as if that was normal behavior. Wizzil gave him time to get used to her, but then she got busy, and DeWitt soon found himself losing his war on the flies. He'd swing and he'd swat, and he'd hear the swatter swish, but Wizzil just jerked his arm a tad to this side or a tad to that side. No soap. This made DeWitt dippy sometimes. He'd let out a war cry and chase little devils all around the house, hitting everything in sight, except the flies. You all right, Pops? Florence Frimp finally asked. I'm fine as wine, DeWitt lied. Baloney, said Fred Frimp. You've been acting nutty ever since you put on that glove. Nutty, if anyone around here's nutty, it's you. Anyway, I won't stop wearing it. Please, Pops, said Florence. Just take it off for one day and see what happens. No way. And that's that, he said. But they kept pestering him until the witch lost patience and decided to teach Fred and Florence to mind their own business. She began by giving them unbearable itches in unexpected places, and the harder they scratched, the more they itched. At dinner that night, she made their mashed meatballs explode and their water spurt up like fountains. And in the morning, she made the whole house tremble and shake so that the boards it was built with cried for help. Exploding meatballs, spouting water, and shaking floorboards. It's getting serious. Making his way over to the bridge that afternoon, having witnessed the weird things that were happening, DeWitt finally saw the light. Fred and Florence must be right. The glove had to be the culprit. He wrenched it from his wrist and flung it into the water. Wizzil the glove began squirming and stretching, and right there in the water began turning into the hateful hag she had always been. And oh, how Wizzil hated getting wet. She'd never had a bath since she was a helpless baby, and all she'd ever washed since then were her two horrid hands. She thrashed, gurgled, sputtered, and spat, and then she started to sink. DeWitt stared in disbelief, but repulsive as a creature Wizzil was, DeWitt couldn't bear to see a fellow human, maybe drowning. He dived right in, and holding the disgusting witch in his arms, he started towing her ashore. Halfway there, he was startled to see this witch, instead of looking sinister, was blushing and smiling with gratitude into his wide open eyes. Wizzil had been so thoroughly cleansed by the crystal clear water that all her vicious nastiness was washed away down the river. Instead of running for his life as soon as they hit the riverbank, DeWitt found himself hugging a surprisingly sweet little old lady. Needless to say, Wizzil and DeWitt fell completely in love and wound up an old married couple who stayed together on the farm. Wizzil was never bored again. Sometimes she and DeWitt even played cards with Fred and Florence, and Beatrice would kibitz at their games. I guess I'll have to stay here with these humdrum humans, the parrot figured. It'll be a whole new hayride. And that, my friends, is the story of Wizzil by William Steig.